Interesting thought process.
That's a great question.
Oh, that's really hard. Oh my God, I didn't realize this was going to be like this.
Wow, that's a good question.
Another good but difficult question.
Welcome to Casual Conversations with your host, Mike Oppenheim.
Hi, everyone. This is Mike Oppenheim, and I am coming to you today with a very special guest, someone that I met actually through the world of podcasting. And I had such a good time on his show that I immediately knew I had to have him on my own show because I wanted to kind of continue the same conversation, but obviously we're going to start it over here. But I will encourage you to check out his podcast, which is awesome. It's called What's the Value? I've posted all over my social media. But his name, by the way, is Terry McMullen, and he is here live. So, Terry, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, Mike. Thanks so much for having me and the kind intro. I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm super psyched.
Awesome. Me too. And I think, it's interesting in the age of the internet. It's just weird, especially with COVID. It's almost like normal at this point to have conversations on the phone with people you don't necessarily know well. So I'm just really happy and really grateful that these connections have been made. And so I kind of wanted to start in reverse and just kind of have you explain in your own words why you started your podcast, What's the Value? And then I think we'll untangle everything from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that the short, most direct answer is much like you were just saying, I love having conversations with people. I love learning from people. I love philosophy and kind of exploring different ways of thinking and kind of challenging different thoughts and all that stuff. And so I would have those conversations pretty often. And I realized that, like, as I was doing them, it often came to a point in the conversation where you'd be like, all right, for us to kind of move forward here, I have to understand your value system, because that's directing and guiding a lot of what you're saying and your beliefs and your actions and viewpoints and all that stuff. So just from like an efficiency sake, I was like, maybe I should, start having conversations with people and just start with that question of like, what do you value? What's most important to you? What kind of guides your life? And then from there, once we kind of set that baseline, then we can go into all different topics and really have like a good, productive, interesting conversation. So that's kind of the short answer of it. The bit longer answer, which I'm sure we'll untangle, is honestly, it was to try and be a better person. If I had to put it in one form or another, it's that I hit a point in my life, maybe around 10 years ago, where I realized for various reasons, like, I don't know if I'm a good enough person to do the things I need to do in my life and kind of fulfill the responsibilities I need to fulfill. And for me, the way of improving was, to learn more about how I think, how others think, to challenge myself more and just be more open. And the podcast is just an awesome way for me to do that, to talk to people like you and a bunch of other people and just hear how you guys lived, hear your perspective, and try and improve myself a little bit through that.
Yeah. And I think knowing your background as well as I do now, I think we're very similar, first of all. And I think this, like, I'm going to call it my words, like quest for goodness is like a very sometimes horrible quality to exist with, because I think people like us beat ourselves up about things that other people don't beat themselves up about, but that doesn't make them better or us worse. It just is kind of like how life feels on the inside in this, like, mental space we carry. And so I'm actually curious, is there a like religious by birth or inherent psychology to you that believes in like morality and order and goodness, or are you kind of like making it up as you go along? Like when you say that you want to be better, where's like your benchmark for that?
Yeah, it's such a good question. There's not a religious component. I mean, I was born Catholic and kind of raised Catholic, but not like, the Catholic where you just go to church, if somebody dies or there's a wedding, and not even on holidays necessarily. So like, I got instilled in me some of those Christian values. So I'm sure they played a part to some extent, but not like actively in my mind, because I was never really that heavy of a practitioner of that. I think it was more like the rooting of it is probably more. I've been, for much of my life, I often call myself like a recovering people pleaser. So I don't know if this is necessarily the full root of it, but like I've always been very sensitive to other people's emotions, reactions, feelings. And I think that's guided me a lot, where I've always wanted to kind of do right by people, often to a flaw, where I kind of sacrificed myself or just wasn't authentic or genuine, but always trying to be like, I should be this person that people expect you should be. So it's probably more societal and like cultural, that there's like a view of what a good person is. And, my parents raised me a certain way. There's some of those things, but I think it's rooted in that view of like, there's a good person that you should be in society, and I want to live up to that. And I think for much of my life, the first 30 years ish, it was not very thought out at all. It was being influenced by all different external factors that I was not thinking about or aware of. But
Hey everyone, that's it for the free version of this podcast. If you want to hear the full one, just head over to mikeyop.com and become a premium subscriber. That's MIKEYOPP.com. Thanks for listening.